everybody. I'm not going to be looking directly at the screen because I'm driving, of course, but I wanted to get this out, and when I'm driving back and forth to Richmond, it's like an hour and a half, so I do videos. It's just the one time it's easy to do a video for both my real estate investing platform and as well as my spirituality platform. So both are aspects in which I like to share the things that I've worked hard on and learned to help others, because I'm here to make sure if I'm successful at something that I get it out to people so they can be successful too. That's my sole purpose here on earth, and that's what I walk in, and that is my higher purpose, both financially and spiritually. So Bitcoin and my security preparedness. I've already said I won't go deep into it, but we got about 6 weeks before we start seeing things go really, really bad. I'm glad most of you guys are appreciative of my last video about how racist preppers were. They really are, but there's a few spots, as I mentioned, that are great, and I actually think some of the information there is even better than in other groups. Probably because we're not just doing the same old thing. Beans and rice and my guns, I'm gonna shoot you. When you start going, well, how do I not shoot you? How do we be a community? You actually get better and more innovative ideas. So I actually prefer them because they're not the same old cookie cutter advice. And I hate cookie cutter advice because that doesn't work for people. You actually get to really good advice. There's this disabled prepper called Grandpa Prepper, and he's a disabled wheelchair bound senior, and he comes up with really good ideas, like things you just never heard of because you don't live that life. Diversity, people think it's like this is a buzzword, but no, when people learn to be successful with their disability, they're going to give you information you just don't have or you would never think of. And he was like, yeah, so in case of a hurricane or grid down scenario, you can get these bath wipes. He was showing me, and I actually bought some and tried them. They're bath wipes that seniors use, and when you look on the Amazon reviews, it's like, oh, we use them after we go hiking, or I had a friend who came from work and we were going to go out to eat, and I was like, here, take one of these. He wiped all the sweat off and the dirt, it's a real wipe, and we gotta go. And it's just little things like that I wouldn't think of because I don't live in that life. But diversity is not just a buzzword. People who are successful and they are different from the norm or mainstream are going to give you advice you'll never ever think about. That'll be really helpful. We have Hurricane Isaiah coming, and that's going to hit in a few days. And with COVID and people sick and people scared and people on edge, I mean, all these are just going to pile up on each other. That's a nice one to not be so scared of being, a little dirty or funky during a really bad scenario. And it was I think I got 40 packets of 8. And I use one every 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm busy and I just can't get to it and I'm out after the beach or something. And it was $40, right? And it'll last me 3 years. So there's different things like that we really just need to be aware of. But let me get to Bitcoin. So those are the groups, and you can look at my previous video if you want to see more on why I stress that to you guys. My audience is majority black, and I don't want to send you guys to all these crazy groups where half the people are racist. You don't need to be there. They're not welcoming, and you don't need to give your energy to people like that. They'll learn on their own. So let's talk about this coin shortage and Bitcoin, because it's so funny. It all ties together. So at the beginning of this, I did a financial preparedness, and I have a solo 401k. I can control my own investments. So I just sort of cashed out my stocks. The stock market this stock market makes no sense. We lost 30% of our GDP. The feds give 1.5 trillion to its friends and banking front buddies, and it's the highest it's ever been. No, I don't want my money. That's a rigged system. You play it. I hope you're successful. Take my money out. I put it in gold and I put it in Bitcoin. And so finally got my first Bitcoin, and I went into detail in the other video why, because it's an extra 30 minutes detail on why, from my viewpoint, it makes sense that both are solid investments. So where are we at now, 3 months later? Gold at almost hitting an all-time high, and we're at Bitcoin, can't even drop below 10,000 really. If someone wants to look it up and post it, let me know. I haven't looked in a while. And the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ties into the coin shortage, right? So let me tell you how that happens and what you're going to see and why this is sort of pretty cool. So I went into cryptocurrency because for me, at the base level, it was obvious to me, everything I saw and sensed my intuition, that this is the future, right? This is the future. So I followed it for the last 5 years. So I saw the dips and flows, and I'm like, wow, this is steady. This is here to stay. And that's why I did it in the first place, because if something's the future and you know that, like, regardless, everyone's going to mass adopt this, you should have a little bit of your you know, you don't have to wait for everyone. You can at least diversify 5%, $1,000, whatever. So that was the beginning. But let's see what's going on now. So now we have a coin shortage. I called my bank and I was like, can I get some coins? Because I actually use coins for different things. I actually do it for, like, when I use my manifesting techniques or I'm working with metals, I need the metals and the different coins to actually use them for what I do. And so actually, and you know, for just different things. So I called the bank, and this is what the bank said, and call your own and see what they said. I was like, hey, do you have any coins? And they're like, I'm sorry, we're not even giving them out to businesses. He said it's so smooth. But here, he didn't say he didn't have any. He said, I'm sorry, we're not even giving them out to businesses. He said we're not giving them out to businesses, right? So it doesn't take a genius to understand that this is confiscation. It's not a shortage. The mint can still work. Yeah, they have few workers, but you can still produce. I mean, that they're not giving them out. That's the line. They didn't say we don't have any, we don't have enough. They said we're not giving them out. Call your bank and ask and see. I just went up there, and so I asked, and this is what the line they give the teller. If they wanted to make some, they can. But we all know that they want to track us. We all know that they want to be able to, ever since the, what was that act? The Patriot Act, that they've been taking all of the rights that, you know, we had to, like, shed blood on the soil to get. And I say we too, because hasn't, even in the Revolutionary War, black people were serving, free or otherwise. So there's not one war in this country where we weren't a part of it, okay, period. And in many cases, a deciding factor on how we won different skirmishes, right, that were key. So to me, I mean, so it's obvious. We already know what's going. You don't need a red light. You don't need a big report. You don't need, like, a smoking gun to know that we're going cashless. They've been saying it. They've been prepping us for it. So what's going to happen? So you go into a restaurant, and now the signs I've seen in 2 are saying exact change only. So basically, and so on one hand, I'm like, yes, we're finally getting rid of change, because, like, you know, like, if something's $21, it's $21. It's not 21 in this many cents. It's $21, right? And so on one hand, that's sort of pretty cool. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, so we're really doing this. And this is why I love the fact that I dipped into cryptocurrency. This is the future. They want to be able to track us. So if you're using things like a credit card or PayPal, say that they wanted to control you, they can shut down and freeze your bank account, right? The IRS does it every single time. They can shut down your accounts and you won't have access to money. So if we're all cashless, right, and we're all using credit cards or debit cards, the government has access to it. But here's the other part of it: Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So if you guys have not had a bit of your money diversified in this, think about it. So when Cash App went ahead, and I think the Square app too, they put buying cryptocurrency right there within the app, right? So you have Cash App now, which is sitting there with the ability to buy cryptocurrency. Eventually, Cash App, and I think Square App as well, they are going to make it so you can exchange cryptocurrency. So all of a sudden, you can put cryptocurrency in your wallet, you can get paid by cryptocurrency, and you can withdraw from that wallet, you can put it in another wallet, and you can transfer and send money. So there are people who will want to stay out of the banking system, and Cash App does require a bank account. But then, when you look at the cryptocurrency asset, we already have one of the most major cash sending platforms out there, because most people do have Cash Apps, now have Bitcoin right there in front of it as a way to buy. Right now it's buy and hold, but you already see that this is going to be for people who do not want to be involved in the banking system to get around. So if you can't see that, so Cash App has mass adoption. It is it's not a verb, but it's definitely a noun. Do you have the Cash App? Do you have the Cash App? People know it. Mass adoption, we thought was going to come through Facebook Libra, but mass adoption is actually going to come through Cash App and these Square apps and these like, I'm waiting for PayPal to start holding Bitcoin, because once you get it from into their wallet or buy it with Cash App, if you wanted to take it off Cash App, you could simply send it from one wallet to another through the exchange. And everyone's going to be very comfortable with this after a while, even if right now this seems like gibberish. You're going to be very comfortable going, let me take it out of my Cash App wallet and put it in my personal wallet so that the feds aren't tracking this and I can go somewhere else and do it without people knowing what I'm doing. So obvious, right? And they've given us so many clues. You know, I don't just work on the physical where you in the scientific. I do spiritual, scientific, and and the spiritual level. So it's like obvious like where we're going with this, and the technology wave is coming, and this is what we're heading into. So the coin shortage manufactured, because it's telling. They didn't say we didn't have any. They said we're not giving it out, right? And obviously the mint's still going, because I just bought some silver coins, a few weeks ago. All right, they're doing just fine. The mint is working where they make these coins, but they're confiscating it and we're going cashless. Cashless is going to have a way of bulking up the fact that cryptocurrency is going to be readily available to cash and trade as well. So that's definitely the future, and it's definitely going to be a way for people to get around the banking system. If you don't want to have, or I know a lot of people who are low income, they don't have a bank account because they overdrew so much, they owe money, and they're like, okay, let me not go to the bank. So if they go to another bank and someone pulls their credit, they'll see that they owe like $200 in overdraft fees from another bank, and so they just can't get it because they don't have the $200. They didn't have it then, they don't have it now, right? That's how lack of money goes. And so they're definitely I know they're going to be some of the main ones who are going to be starting to adopt the Bitcoin when it's on these apps that they're already using, when it's on the Venmos, and the mass adoption is there, and we can start trading that. So keep a lookout, because right now with the money that they have in their Cash App, they are able to buy the Bitcoin. And if they need to be able to get money and send money that way, a lot of people were worried about under the table money. I was like, don't worry, cryptocurrency. The only thing that cryptocurrency needed was mass adoption, and they definitely now have the infrastructure and the amount of people and the amount of users to push that through. So what I'm saying is Bitcoin is finite. It is the future. It is a future way that is independent, that can coexist with a cashless society. And I think you should have a little bit of a hedge. I'm not saying all your money, but I told everybody, can you do $50, $100? I do 200. I was doing $200 a month of Bitcoin. So every month for the last 2 years, I've been buying it. But now I'm up to 400, just because I don't want to keep my money in cash, to be honest. It's in here in gold, or it's in Bitcoin at this point. At least my 401k money, because you can buy crypto assets with it. So when you have solo 401k, basically you have like a list of 10 things you can't do, but most things you can invest with when it shows that it has an appreciative value. Just not like arts and collectibles, and you can't give money to like your parents or your kids, right? So that is what's going on. To me, the coin shortage plays right into that. All of the major banks and all of the I think Amazon has a coin, like all of the big players who get together and talk on conference calls and like try to run our lives. They're all moving towards this as well, because they're all going to have a coin. JP Morgan Chase has a coin. Bank of America is going to have a coin. Like, so they're all sort of going, okay, this is it. We're going to the future. Oh, okay. Booze, cigarettes. You guys, you got to understand. So when I talk about the collapse, like, I'm not talking about it from a shit hit the fan and there's no more electricity, and it's a free-for-all, because we've seen economic collapse in other cities and other places, and there's still businesses. Gold is still valuable. You can take it to the pawn shop. Pawn shops don't disappear. They actually grow bigger, because a lot more people start taking things there, and a lot of people start shopping there because it's more affordable. So I don't know if it's going to be there. I don't know. The indications that I've been getting have been it's going to be within our current infrastructure, not a total grid down scenario. I have not gotten that. It's going to be sort of this limping along, but it's going to escalate and the pressure is going to rise. There's just going to be more things on top of you that they're crashing, really forcing you to go, how do you manifest in your world? How do you create your world? How do you stay calm in the center of some of the worst things happening? And that's like the evolution that we need to take so that we can, be in this world and live sustainably and with one another. So it's all the future. I hope you guys are seeing that. Part of the coin shortage, to me, it is so dang calculated. It's not even hidden or funny. Like, if it's hidden to you, it's obvious as heck to me. So that's what's going on with that. So as far as security, now you are going to see, like in my Facebook group, someone posted a picture of, like there's so much going on with crime. It's really on the rise. And you guys, listen, I am spiritually protected. I'm like, I can talk to my ancestors, spirit guides, and if I'm like, protect me, they will. But that doesn't mean that you want to be silly and leave it up to chance. Like, you need to do your own work with it. You need to prepare too. God only helps those who help themselves, or higher power, or a source, or universe. Honestly, I use them all because it's all the same. And I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things I'm doing because of my sense of urgency. I'm on DEFCON 5 right now. Like, I'm not playing. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I don't care. My preparations are on level 2000 right now. And what that includes is I just bought a baseball bat, a nice little metal crusher, 29-inch, because even for men or women who might be uncomfortable. Hey, Layla, can you turn that down, baby? Even if you're uncomfortable with a gun, everyone can get a baseball bat and prepare for themselves and take care of themselves. I think that's one of the most natural things that people can do. I got one of those telescoping batons where you can where it's like that real thick meaty thing, but like you can just whip it out and like it telescopes, and then you can use it for defense. We got some, I already told you on the other one about security, but I got some walkie-talkies just in case the power's down and I'm gonna need to communicate with people. Now, walkie-talkies are useful in general, like especially if you're doing team sports or team events. But I've had it where without shit hitting the fan, my T-Mobile barely has any voice or data, and I can barely get in touch with anything. So, I mean, what happens during this next hurricane season? And they've already said that there's like 20 different depressions that they've seen, and it's going to be more active than usual during these protests, during the case of COVID. Like, every single part of this country is going to be hit with some crisis-like events. I don't care who you are, right? Even, Texas is going to get a lot, apparently, this year, too, because I was reading up on all the data and what it suggests. Layla, turn it down more. I'm almost done. Okay, so that is on security. What else did we get? I got a lot of, the keychain security things. I suggest women get that, too. Get your mace. Now, I'm not just about security. You hear me say it. Like, we know people are on edge right now. Like, your emotional maturity also needs to up its game. And I realize I missed that in a lot of prepper groups. You don't got a lot of leaders who can de-escalate a situation, right? It's all like, I'm going to shoot you with my gun. Like, yeah, and go to jail, okay? Or have people come back to your house and, burn it down. Like, shut up. Like, you can't win against life, right? People are worked up that maybe you could be the change that can completely take a situation. Okay, sorry about that. Well, I'm back again. Well, you get rain, right? Like, it's super easy. You can cut it on, and you mentioned it. I will link it to the one I buy. You can get a rain barrel anywhere from $49 up to $200 if you want. I am literally getting a rain barrel system. You can say what you want, but if nothing happens, I at least have clean, non-chlorinated, non-fluoride laden water, that I can use for drinking or for my garden. But if something does happen, power is down, you don't have water, I'm just not going to be out there. And this is for $70 if you own a house. All right? And it's not the only downspout you can have. Like, even if you live in an apartment and the downspout, I don't know if they have downspouts, but if you can tap into it. But even at that level, I would advise, if you can, to do it. Not only is it sustainable and a nice way of recycling water, but going in the future, we know that this virus alone, let alone the civil unrest, is going to hit 6 times harder than it was, right? I mean, what does that mean? That means if something goes down, which it does because of the natural weather patterns, and we know we have an active season coming up, go look at the weather reports. Things that might have been down one day might be 5, 6, or 7, right? They're going to try their best, but things are a little hasty right now. People are going to be a little sick. People are going to be scared to go out and work, okay? You know what I mean? It's going to get to that point, and we know it's going to get to that point. And having your own rainwater barrel system, I'm going to get I'm going to pay a little nicer and get it more than the $60 one. But I mean, you can't get it for that if that's all you have. So I'm on high alert right now. I am not playing. I was already into preparedness, but everything I'm seeing is leading up to, oh shoot, okay, this is sort of serious. It's okay to have gold and silver. It's not about eating it. Even even in Zimbabwe, they sit there and collect gold and they trade the gold in because that has more value than their Zimbabwean dollars, all right? So no, you can't eat gold, but its value will hold. And you can take it to the pawn shop and get the value of it, which may be significantly more than the dollars that you hold. Okay? Because I went all in, all right? And that was a lot, but I mean, I haven't lost yet. You know, if I do, I'll let you know. But the future is here, and they're racing to the bottom. I mean, sitting trillions of dollars, 33% of our GDP is gone. 40 million people are about to be homeless. Okay? So I'm a real estate investor. I have a real estate investing platform. So what does that mean if 40 million people are evicted, or potentially, or out on the street? What does that mean? That means you have 40 million homes that are vacant, right? So even as a landlord, this matters to us, because what does that mean? That means you're going to be competing with a very, very, very small pool, 15 to 20% of the population just gone from you to get people in. So in order to compete, what do? You lower your prices. Now, we already saw this in New York and the Bay Area. If you look it up, rent prices have decreased in these luxury apartments. They're offering 2 months free. They're slashing prices, $3,000, now it's $2,300. They're like 2 months free. They're doing everything they can now. So you know, if you're seeing that at the high end, how it's always 8 times worse at the bottom, right? So even for us landlords, we are going to see a level of competition. Your $800 rent might be $600. Okay, it might be $600 because your current tenant's like, ooh, I can get something better for $600 because they're just trying to get people in right now because they just lost 40 million people who are now homeless. So these solutions, and you know, and I'm a solution-oriented person, so I feel for the people who have not been able to get the financial knowledge or the financial discipline or the financial skill set to really prepare themselves. And that's a lot of reasons. We don't need the system. We don't need daycare centers to survive. We don't need half the things that they got you convinced that you need in order to survive. You know, Skynet. He just said Skynet got you. I'm looking at the question because I have a bit of traffic and it slowed down. No, I'm here. It's not Skynet. I'm sure they're coming though, so y'all better watch out. There's preparedness we need to do for that too. So, you know, like I know sometimes when you're in that situation, you only see that, what else am I going to do? But I really hope, like, they're probably not in my audience, but I hope the word gets back to them. You can do this. Like, poor people have been making it work for centuries. I told my friends about the pods of, you know, black moms getting together so that they can take care of kids because they don't have the money to pay for daycare anymore, but they still have to go to work. And, you know, I told my lady who comes by and helps out, and she was like, you know, my mom and dad did this. I'm just telling the story again in case she didn't hear it. And she's like, yeah, like between the 6 of us kids, one worked graveyard, one worked the day shift. We'd go to the other lady's house and she'd feed us and we'd go to sleep and wake up and go back home. But like, it was funny, like she's like, yeah, of course, like we know how to be poor people. So, but we also know how to be poor and get by in a safe manner. So I hope that people who are looking to, you know, thinking they don't have options, looking at evictions, I hope that they can come together and instead of trying to rely on the system that wasn't made for us to thrive anyways, that they could get together and come up with ideas that are community or people-based ideas where your kids are taken care of. Like maybe you share the food responsibility, maybe you pull resources together, right? That reminds me of Meghan Markle. I'm part of the Sussex Squad, if you've heard of us. We basically just battle racism on Twitter against like the British Royal Rota. It's sort of funny, like, because they talk about us now in like major news, and it's just like, you know, we're black women and we learned how to successfully battle racism, so they're doing it over there and we're like, you're not gonna get us. Like, you think you're the first racist person we've had to deal with? Like, no, baby, whole life, 38 years, like, get in line. I know how to handle this. And what I was talking about is, it's just so interesting. So there was a fire, it's called the Grenfell Fire. There was a big fire in this community complex with mostly immigrants, people from Morocco, Afghanistan, Pakistan. And they never investigated, of course. You know, maybe if it was another high-end place with Caucasian people, British people, it would have been, but it was not. And there was this community kitchen, so they just opened up a random kitchen. Everyone would come and like participate, and it just gave people a place so they can cook for their families because all their stuff went up in the fire. And I mentioned that because I bought the cookbook, which is awesome because it has all these Moroccan and like Afghani and Pakistani like lunches and dinners and whatnot, which are really cool because you just don't get access to that. But it just shows you like community can come together. So to my audience out there, for the most part, the people watching me, you guys are the people who have some money saved up. You've been financially disciplined. I mean, that's why you're listening to me, because you're trying to go further. You are not trying to depend on anyone. You're trying to be free financially, which also means you're free in a lot of ways too. That means you can stay home for COVID. So y'all are not the audience, but I'm saying this to you guys so you guys can know, when you have conversations with your cousins and families, there are solutions. Like 30-40 million evicted is horrible, but I'd love to see them come together and go, well, we don't need that. We have each other, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna take care of our kids, and we'll figure out housing together. You know what I mean? So that's what I really hope for people who are in these situations. But it's so hard. Sometimes we're so siloed and we're so separated. We don't see that if we came together and joined forces, so many of our issues can really be alleviated, or our burdens can. But we're all in these separate little silos. I'm a mother of 4, I'm a mother of 3, but it's like, come together, right? Maybe there's a mom who needs someone to come in, but like they do daycare services or provide them. So I just really hope that community aspect really starts coming in, because I don't care who you are. Money does not dictate happiness, but your social standing, your community ties can mean the difference between life and death, and it can be the difference between a good life. Because I know I was poor, but shoot, you didn't know. Like, I swear, we borrowed food every day from neighbors, and neighbors borrowed food every day from us. Every day. I mean, every other day I was going to Millie's or Lisa's or this. Like, we had our rotation, and every day they were coming to us. And you know what? We always had enough, because if you knock on enough doors with that little cup in your hand, it was going to happen. So we weren't out in the streets doing that, but definitely like that community feel was there. And if more of us wake up to that, if we have each other, we don't need it. We're like, you can be okay. There are solutions. So you guys don't need to hear that, but maybe the people you talk to can hear it. Like, we have solutions. We can go outside this system, so we really don't need it in the way people have become dependent on. Because as soon as you stop depending on it and start sparking that idea, you realize we have everything we need, and we really do. Like, I'd like to say I'm living proof of it. But so are you in a lot of ways, I think. So that is it for today. I hope you came with me on the coin shortage, Bitcoin, why. I hope you can see why cryptocurrency is going for mass adoption, especially when people who aren't in the banking system but have maybe one Cash App. Because I have this one guy who does my lawn, mows my lawn, he got Cash App, and he was like a person who goes to the check cashing place because he didn't have a bank account. So, but he can get a Cash App, and now sitting right there is Bitcoin. So, there's going to be mass adoption on every social economic level. And I wonder if that's what why they chose Cash App, because the people who would be most likely not to be able to be a part of the system, right, which means they lose cash, are now do it through the Cash App, right? And so you have mass adoption at that level, and as well as the other ones. So that is where I'm going with that. You don't have to do all of it, but yes, am I absolutely preparing to be completely self-sufficient? I am. I would absolutely recommend you guys get a solar power generator, collect some water or a rainwater system if you have a house. If you don't, you can put like 5 gallons or even 10 gallons in a closet and put things on top of it if you really want to. But everything I'm seeing is like, this is gonna go real crazy. People in the spiritual community are talking about it. We're all on the same page, and God helps those who help themselves. Even though I know I'm protected, and I pray to God, and I know He'll take care of me like He always does. Anytime I'm in a bad situation, He comes through. We develop that relationship. That still doesn't mean that I'm not going to arm myself and be cautious and take care, right? We work together. It's not just Him doing all the work. I do the work and Him do the work. We work together. So I just want you guys all to remember that. So you don't have to do anything I suggest, right? But just understand, once we're dead in it, if you don't have this foresight, it's going to be tough, because you and a lot of people will be in the same situation. So thank you guys. I'm also going to do another thing on my spiritual channel in about 10-20 minutes, if any of you guys are into channeled messages from the ancestors and angels. And this is more about the healing, going deeper into the 2020 process, the shifts that are occurring on the spiritual level that is causing all of this stuff to come to the surface. What does it mean for it needing to be released? All right, love you guys. Bye. If I can figure out how to turn this off.